The FCT Police Command has issued a stern warning to the Nigeria Labour Congress against its planned protest in the Federal Capital Territory. The command insists that such demonstrations could disrupt public order and security. The NLC had fixed today, Tuesday, to protest over unpaid allowances to workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA.
The FCT Police Command, in a statement, said intelligence reports gathered revealed plans by non-state actors to infiltrate and hijack the protests for purposes inimical to public peace and security. The NLC maintains that peaceful protests are a constitutional right and would go ahead with this protest as planned. This clash raises critical questions about democracy, civic liberties and governance in Nigeria. Today we'll be unpacking the police's position, the labor movement's response, and what it means for ordinary Nigerians already grappling with economic hardship. Join us this morning to discuss this is the Public Relations Officer of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Comrade Kabiawo Bolawo Adegboyega. Comrade Adegboyega, thanks for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to the studio.
Now, Comrade, the FCT Police Command says the planned protest could destabilize the FCT. They said following intelligence-driven operations, they've heard that non-state actors are planning to hijack the protest and foment trouble. Do you think these are legitimate concerns, or it's just a pretext for the police authorities to prevent the... I beg your pardon.
Sorry.
The Labour Congress from protesting?
Yes, like you rightly said, good morning. Good morning to our viewers. Good morning to Nigerians. Good morning to Nigerian workers. Yes, the planned protest by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC in solidarity with the workers in Abuja, there's a Joint Union Action Congress Committee. It's a fundamental right for the workers as regards unpaid allowances over years. And then the security reports debarring us from this peaceful protest is just a bid to stop the labor action. We felt it's just a pretext in order to dissuade us from institutional fundamental human rights. And so we are not in tandem with it. We felt it's just a way of dissuading us from doing our normal civic rights. So we don't believe that the security report is genuine enough. That's our position.
Okay, so are you still going on with the protests? Are you defying the court order? Are you still going on with the protest?
The organized labor are resolute, and they are insisting that they cannot infringe on their fundamental human rights, and so the planned protest is still scheduled to go on.
Okay, let's bring in another guest. We have Comrade Ismail, who is joining us. Comrade Ismail Adejumo, who is the Public Relations, Nigeria Labour Congress Public Relations Officer. Good morning, Comrade. Thank you for joining us this morning. We've just, in our conversation with Mr. Bolawo, he said that organized labor has insisted that despite the court order, that the protest will go on today. Is that correct?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. Quite all right. We are following ahead with the protest as scheduled, because the attempt to use a court order to stop the peaceful protest planned is a major distraction to put aside the main focus of the labor movement, the labor center, the NLC and TUC. We absolutely resolved, and we are fortunate ahead by the grace of God as planned to have a peaceful protest, because it is our constitutional right of kind of. And I want to clear that has there been any organized protest anchored by NLC or TUC that have been hijacked in the history of this country? I want a reference as to make this one a security threat for workers to express their legitimate rights of demanding their rights from their employer and roping it with the protest of the cite and all this. This is a mere distraction, and we are not bothered with this. The leadership have firmly resolved. They have issued a directive to all the affiliates to be fully mobilized and stage a peaceful protest. This is a constitutional and a fundamental right of all citizens of this country. The issue of overriding public interest as a result of security is not tenable at this very point in time. If the Minister of FCT has been very, very proactive, he has listed, he quickly rushed to the industrial court and obtained an order restraining us that compel police now to see it as a threat to national security. They should do the needful. The unpaid allowance of workers, wage award is a benefit that's supposed to have been paid almost 2 years ago to workers across the federal civil service. They are delaying it. We are having pending about 3 months wage award to be paid. Apart from the FCT workers, so many workers are waiting for this wage award to be paid, and we are in the new year of a new review of the minimum wage, and we are still talking about wage award granted to cushion the effect of the process that led to the negotiation and conclusion of the last minimum wage. I think it's an aberration. We should be very, very sensitive about the plight of workers. Workers are not happy. We are living in penury. Everybody is struggling to survive, and we are talking about security threat. Because of the organized labor, the government is to stage a protest. I think it's very, very unfortunate.
Okay, just to confirm, you've talked about the plight of workers, which is the reason why this protest is scheduled to happen today. However, the Minister of the FCT has questioned the motive of organized labor. It says that the Minister's Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, Larry Olayinka, via his ex-handle on Sunday, said that the FCTA workers received their January salaries last Friday with 1 month payment of the 5-month arrears of the wage award. Is that correct, comrade?
Absolutely. It's a result of the initial 7 days ultimatum that led to the strike action that was embarked on before the court intervened. Out of the 5-month wage award, they only pay 2 as by record, and the remaining 3 months pending. They should give a firm commitment and timeline of when they are going to pay it. It should not be what we should be dreaming of getting at any time, at no time. So they must come up with a commitment and be honest in honoring agreements. Apart from the wage award, the issue of pension arrears is also there that they are clamoring for. So many other issues that pertain to the welfare and well-being of working people, and you want them to be productive. You have to give them what is due to them. Workers not be waiting to get the reward for their wage, the wage, which is the entitlement for their labor. They should pay. Then everything will go on smoothly and harmoniously. We don't enjoy using the instrumentality of protest or strike action before we press home our demand. If government is doing the needful at appropriate level, there won't be any industrial crisis or disharmony. We want peace. We want this government to be forced to deliver on their campaign promises. Already know the list of FCT, they're going up and down, attending to the political activities and the priority that is supposed to administer as a minister. That is why the labor movement, the 2 labor centers, unanimously resolved to back this protest in a solidarity with our worker, our colleagues under the Abuja. So the issue of threat or whatever is not needful. They do not do the needful. They do the needful. Everybody just work peacefully and productive. That is demand. It's not too much from us. Demand of the city. And the issue of Westwood is also there. There have been strikes since November last year. The government must quickly resolve this issue because the issue of health of Nigerians is very, very, very paramount and of great concern to citizens. They should look at it and resolve it amicably.
Okay.
We are planning to sit down with the government for the new minimum wage negotiation that is going to start this year.
Thank you very much, Comrade Adejumo. I would like to bring Comrade Adegboyega back into the conversation.
Okay.
Now, Comrade Adegboyega, I mean, for the organized labor to reach this point, it means that talks have broken down. What was the last communication with authorities of the Federal Capital Territory with regards to this wage awards, and was the negotiations and discussions, of course, they were not fruitful. That's why you've decided to go on industrial strike. And number two, are you willing to take responsibility for any breakdown of law and orders, as the courts have said this protest should not hold, and you think the security agencies are just using insecurity as an excuse to prevent labor from protesting? Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you, the moderator. The organized labor is resolute, and we are of the opinion that the FCT authority, particularly the minister, is always grandstanding, and he has not been attending to workers' plight. And so we are sure that this protest will not snowball into any disruption of security in FCT. Rather, we have organized a protest that will ensure that it is not hijacked by any hoodlum. We have our own security details that have assured us that it's going to be a peaceful protest, devoid of any hoodlum hijack and whatsoever. Just like Comrade Adejuma said, the issue of government not acceding to requests on time has snowballed into another crisis that government is not giving the required attention, and that's the issue of Joesu. The Joesu strike, which happens to be in the health sector, we are surprised and amazed at the level of indifference of the government in not attending to this request that has pervaded close to 3 months thereabout now. And what are these demands that they are asking for? It's just about breach of collective bargaining by the government. USO has been on strike on the same premise that the Abuja workers are not being paid their 3 months arrears of their wage award. USO is talking about denial of their salary adjustment since 2014, 2019, 2009, that the collective bargaining agreed that any adjustment on the health salary structure will be concomitant to both structures, that's the commerce and the conheads. And this has culminated into a strike that we are amazed that government is not giving the due attention until it snowballed into crisis, until it snowballed into protest, and that and these are what we are trying to avoid. But this protest is a premise on the fact that the workers are being ignored, and the only way we could get the requisite attention is to go on a peaceful protest, and we are quite resolute that it will not snowball into any violence or hijacked by hoodlums. We are peaceful workers fighting for our rights, and we believe that the FCTA authority should accordingly meet with the workers, the worker leadership, and resolve this issue that will not warrant labor centers going on the streets. We are responsible workers in Nigeria, and we want to be at our duty post, working, not at the protest ground, carrying placards. So and that's why we felt that the other issue that has not been attended to, that might even lead into snowball, and then you take cognizance that health issue is an essential issue, and that Nigerians are being denied of health care all over the country, from all over the institutions in Nigeria. The health workers, the publics are not being attended, and their health is deteriorating. And so these are issues that we felt that government should take a bold step and address this issue head on, instead of this rigmarole and dilly-dallying. We felt that this is not right. This is not right for Nigerian citizens to be denied of their fundamental right to universal health coverage. Denial of the health sectors working, the health institution have been closed down for almost over 2 months now, and nothing tangible is being coming out of that bargaining and negotiation.
Okay.
We keep going back and forth on why these allowances should be paid, and it should not be so. So we are resolute that this strike, this protest will not culminate into any untoward circumstances.
All right, comrades, there's this notion that the NLC, TUC is now politicized. These were statements also made from the camp of the FCT minister. What do you say to that? And secondly, do you also believe that rather than go for this protest, you need to have another dialogue, maybe with the FCT minister, even though he has said that he cannot pay all the monies because he still needs money to carry on infrastructure and put infrastructures in place. What's your take on all of this? First off, like I mentioned, do you think the NLC has been politicized, as mentioned from the FCT minister's side? And secondly, maybe another sit-down would do. What say you?
The NLC, the organized labor, is non-partisan when it comes to politics. And so insinuations about NLC, TUC having been politicized is just a bit to distract attention from the subject matter. We felt that any protest or any discussion at the end of the day will still be at the round table. We are open to further discussions and negotiations with the FCT minister if he is ready and willing to negotiate and discuss like as required within the tenets of labor principle. We don't want a minister that will grandstand and be behaving larger than life. The FCT minister has tendencies to be authoritarian and militant, and this is what labor centers would not agree with. If peradventure is ready to negotiate as appropriate, the labor centers, the organized labor, the leadership would accede to that discussion and go back to the round table and fully discuss on how to go out of this quagmire. We are not politicized, we are just labor centers after the interests of Nigerian workers. That's the brief about that.
All right. Still following through with the earlier question my colleague asked about the politicization or alleged politicization of organized labor. Comrade Ismail, the FCT minister had said he'd paid 2 months, remaining 3 months. From 2023 to 2024, what we've seen is that there have been states that have implemented the wage award partially. Some have paid, one-offs. Some haven't paid at all. But reports are that there are more states that haven't paid at all and have moved more into the minimum wage conversation and are focusing on that. Why is the FCT the particular case, or the particular focus? And, can you give us a picture of what it looks like in other states? Comrade Ismail Ishola, please.
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you very much. Attending to the issue of our payment of the wage award, I told you earlier on it was 5 months that was pending. But as a result of the struggle, in Labor's Palace, we believe freedom is not self-allocated. We believe we should always struggle for our rights. And that is the only language we understand. And that is why the labor movement will always resolve and come out, formidable to press home our demand. The workers have organized themselves under the Joint Union Action Committee, under the FCT, to ensure that as much as the federal capital is supposed to be to not have paid the wage award and still dragging and misplacing priorities, then they have to come out and demand for their rights. And that is what the true labor center is.
I get where you're coming from. You've been able to establish this, I believe. I think what I'm asking is, what is the position of other states? Is the FCT the only state that hasn't paid the wage award? Are the other states paying as well?
It is the responsibility of every state. Based on the question, from the available information before me, I cannot ascertain outrightly the number of states that have complied or states that have not complied substantially. But what is expected of every responsible government at any level is to honor agreements and do the needful to foster any industrial crisis or disharmony. So if the FCT as a template now have not done the needful at this time, which has warranted the workers there to come and solicit for the support of the labor sector to press to their demand, that is out of place. They should place priority in the wage award in workers. The wage award we are talking about is as of the last minimum wage negotiation for crying out loud.
So I hear
it's
you.
deleted.
I hear you. I hear you completely. Let's take a very quick break because I want us to talk about this. We'll come back after this break and then I'll expand further on what I'm seeking to establish with that question. Let's go on a break. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the planned protest by organized labor scheduled to hold today in the Federal Capital Territory against court orders that have been given to disregard such or to set aside such. We're joined by Comrade Ismail Adejumo, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Lagos State. And we also have the Public Relations leader of the Trade Union Congress, Comrade Kabiao Bolahon Adegboyega. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Comrade Adegboyega Bolahon, the question I was trying to drive at is, the FCT Minister's camp, still speaking about the potential of this being politicized, has asked how many states have actually implemented this wage award. He alleges that less than 20 states have actually implemented the wage award. Some have implemented partially, some have implemented one-offs, and most have moved between 2023 to 2024 to focusing more on the 70,000 naira minimum wage as opposed to focusing on the 35,000 naira wage award. So the question is, why, if many states are not paying the wage award, and I'm not saying that the states shouldn't pay, I'm asking why was the FCT chosen as the one to sort of make a scapegoat or an example of?
All right, thank you. In labor, just like Comrade Adejumo said, you have continuous engagement with your employers, and if you have that clear understanding that a discussion are not going hurry, and just like the FCT minister alluded that other states, some states have not acceded to paying completely the wage award to their workers. That might not be far from the truth, but those states not protesting culminated in the fact that they have clear understanding with their government that the wage award is not a denial, it's just a face-off arrangement to paying. And they have clear understanding and agreement with the relevant state government that they will pay. And so, but if you have this understanding or this insinuation, and then the position of FCT minister not willing to pay the wage award, rather is deterring it that the minimum wage should be the primary focus. And you recall that even the minimum wage, there are some states paying well above the minimum wage. Take Lagos, for example, that is paying 85,000, and some states are paying way above the minimum wage. And you will recall that the minimum wage review is in the offing soon, that another review will be called for in no distant time. And so if we are still battling with the wage award that ought to have been paid, it shows that the FCT minister has not adequately engaged the workers for them to have clear understanding with him. But the other state that they are not having focused or protest is because the labor centers are having discussions that will ensure that that wage award is paid. Right. It's not that the wage award is not going to be paid, but either because of economic realities of understanding with the government, they have decided not to go on protest because they have the assurances that that award will eventually be paid. It might be delayed. But the ministers, the FCT home, culminated because there was discussion broke down. And once you have the discussion that has not been yielding fruitful end, it will instigate and stimulate reactions like a protest. And that's why the FCT workers, from the toga and the tone of the FCT minister in his characteristic self, felt that if they do not institute this force action, which is their tool of last resort, the FCT minister might not take it serious as a responsibility that he has to fulfill.
All right.
And that's why that issue culminated, snowball into a peaceful protest.
All right,
it's not coming from the fact that the labor centers has been politicized. It is far from that truth.
Well,
Far away from
in a few minutes, or do I say hours, we will find out how this turns out. You both have said that the protest will continue regardless because it is your fundamental human right. Well, we'll see what happens next, and we hope that both parties, all aggrieved parties, can come to a safe middle. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best.